right. We got delayed a little bit due to technical difficulties, but I've got Nicole over there, sideways. Hopefully this is working. So yeah, I apologize. Now I can't hear her. This stinks. All right, can everybody hear me? Well, this stinks. You can hear me? You can't hear Nicole. Okay. I thought we had it figured out. Anyway, I'm happy to have her here. Shout out to all of you in the chat. Hopefully we can figure this out. Yeah. Nicole, they say they can't hear you. And we had this figured out before we went live, and all right. Do you want to try to go out and come back in? See if we figure this out.
All right, now my picture says.
Oh, there she is. All right.
So is something wrong when you play that video? That's what happened the last time. It blocks me out, and I don't know why it flips the picture, but.
All right. Yeah, so it put you sideways. Okay, now we're here.
Hey, y'all, hey.
We're here, and we're late, so we got to shout out the chats. We got me. We got John from Inquiline. We got Gershon.
Hey, John. Hey, GP.
We got the man, the myth, the legend, Keys, Constrictors. We got Tammy from Tamithus.
Hey, Tammy.
Reptiles. We got Jeremy Warful.
Hey,
and
Jeremy.
Check him out. He's got Ron from AVM on after this show.
Okay.
What else we got? We got Rob M, PA Fam.
Rob.
Okay, that's it. All right. So Nicole.
Yep.
We're gonna do the traditional intro, whatever.
Okay.
So how long have you been keeping reptiles? And give us your elevator pitch.
My alligator or elevator?
Alligator pitch. Elevator, whatever.
So I've been keeping reptiles since 1992. Right after my father passed away in March of 92, my daughter's father gifted me with my very first ball python like a month after that. But as far as like reptiles in my life, that's been all my life since I can remember being a little girl. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, in this community called Cherry Hill, which Cherry Hill was built around the harbor. If those of you who still live in Baltimore, you see a lot of new development there. Before the new development, there are homes that sits right behind the water. It's called Hillside. So literally we can jump off of the balcony of our townhome, go down into the woods, find whatever we want, and then cross a little road, and we were at the water. So animals was just normal. I mean, from anything from bats to possums, like you just grew up around them because of where we live. But as far as actually keeping, my very first ball python was 1992.
Oh man, I was 3.
So that puts things in perspective, because a lot of people don't realize, especially when I'm talking to some of the, the vets of the community, that I am almost 50. I'm proud to say that. I tell anybody that. I'm proud to say that June 12th of 2023, I'll be 50 years old, half a century. So I'm not as young as some people think. And I don't even know how people think that sometimes, because I have grandchildren that I expose, quite often. So.
You do your thing, right? I mean, you are young at heart.
Yep.
You are. I mean, I was really excited to have Nicole on here tonight. her passion, like I can't say enough good things about Nicole.
Well,
And I'm
I'm
so
glad
happy to
everybody
have her
can.
on here.
Everybody can't say that. There are some people who would say something totally different. Well, I'm glad. In the reptile community, definitely, I think it's you guys get the best of me for sure, and that's why I am in the position that I am today. I'm living my absolute dream. Where I'm at in my life right now is exactly where I wanted to be. I thought it would be a little later in life, but I'm grateful that God saw fit, and I'm assuming that He really appreciated my passion as well. Because what happened for me, like this last year, for me, my husband, my family, is just like night and day to what I expected, so God can definitely exceed your expectations. That's for sure.
We got Spicy Mike.
That's right, Spicy.
I mean,
Wait a minute, Spicy. I'm rocking the real Spicy Noodle shirt tonight.
not that Amazon
Not that
knockoff,
knockoff on
right?
Amazon.
So Nicole, so what species are you working with right now? And is there anything else you want to get into?
So let's start with what species do I have now. So I have to do it room from room, or I'm going to miss something. So right now I have of course, everybody knows the reticulated pythons. My favorite species of snake, and probably my favorite animal side by side with my Asian water monitor. So Larry is one of my favorite animals as well. Then I have ball pythons. I have sets of ball pythons. I have ball pythons that were originally my pet ball pythons, and although all of them are breeding also now, but three of them really sits in what we call the pet room, and then there's a whole nother room that has all of my breeding ball pythons. I have 2 red-eared slider turtles. I have a corn snake, 2 Burmese pythons, 3 red Ackie monitors. I have 12 tarantulas, 2 tegus, and I always forget the green tree python. Look, every time I look over there, he's like, "Don't forget me."
Yeah, you got to try it. You also forgot. Did you mention the carpet? The new.
Oh, dang! Yes, and I love the carpet.
I mean,
So
I saw Jeremy came in the chat, so we had to.
Baby. The carpet python. So let me just say, for the record, for those of you who remember me saying I would never get a carpet python, I am going to tell you that I love this carpet python. I really, really do. Like, she is so cool, so sweet. But I think that's everything other than I do have 2 dogs. I have a Rottweiler and a Yorkie Poo. The Yorkie Poo being the vicious one. The Rottweiler is a big
The Yorkie Poo's the butthole.
Yeah. He's literally mean. Like, so to the point where if we have them both outside and people be like, "Oh, can I touch? I don't want to touch that big one. Can I touch the little one?" Don't touch the little one. It will bite you. It will bite your child. It will bite your priest. It will bite your doctor. It will bite dear Jesus if Jesus was right here. The only people it's not going to bite is us. The dog barks at airplanes.
Yeah, I mean, Stella's like, she'll love everybody, but don't mess with her. So Nicole, you are in your first season of ball python breeding. I know this because you shared with us.
Oh, really? This is a funny thing. It really is not. I actually started pairing last October.
Okay.
So, but then I decided that I wanted to go a whole different direction. So I kind of like stopped pumped the brakes, and then started again. Like, I was saying August, but I've kind of like been breeding on and off since last October.
Okay. But I mean,
this is the first season though that I'm definitely going to be able to turn on the incubator. In fact, I told my husband today, "Babe, fire up the incubator. Fire up one of them. We need to get one of the incubators fired up." So yeah, that's exciting.
So I will say this: Nicole has done something that most people don't do. She has invested in infrastructure, right? Got racks, got more incubators than she needs. I mean, she is ready.
So, but let me tell you why, right? So, you in property management to some extent, right? So I was a regional property manager, so I can see the downturn into the economy before anybody else can see, right? Because we renovate a lot, we buy a lot of property. So we were, well, let's say because I retired from that on August 10th, but we bought a lot of things that showed you that boats are being held up in China, and we're waiting where we can get a stock of refrigerators to renovate our whole community. We would have to wait almost a year to get those appliances. So what I said to my husband is that, and I saved up for a long time to do everything I wanted to do now. So there was money accessible. So it was like, can I spend it all now? Because what's going to happen is at some point, these things are not going to be available, or they're going to be triple. For example, the enclosures I have for my retics now, people are paying 3 times that amount of what I paid for them, buying them in 2020. I have enclosures that I have paid for a year ago that just sits with my vendor for when I'm ready to go pick it up.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, I remember paying for enclosures for a monitor for my hatchling rack, and you remember me complaining about that and be like, it's taking forever.
Yep.
And I mean, if you can buy that ahead of time and you're not waiting on it, like, that's great. So
Yep.
I mean, if you can do that.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is just be conscious of the timing of your breeding or when you expect to actually bring money back. Because from a tax purposes, right? So, when you still file your taxes for the business. But like right now, I have over $25,000 in credits and tax credits that I can't actually be paid out because the business hasn't actually made money yet. So, I mean, I'm still in that 5-year window, but just to keep that in mind, like if you ever decided to let me go ahead and, like he said, build the infrastructure first, you want to make sure that you're breeding animals
within that 5 years
on deck.
Yeah. So I was talking to John from Inkline about that, and I haven't filed my LLC yet. I have my licenses to do this.
I didn't fuss at you about that. You have to establish the business. Anybody who's listening, right? You have to establish the business. Don't think you can. First of all, not you can't, but there are people who think they can just sell snakes and forego the IRS. The IRS has ways, and if you're selling them through Morph Market has to actually submit information into Morph Market. They may not catch you in year 1, they may not catch you in year 5, year 7 or 10, but when they catch you, they're going all their money at once.
Yeah. So I mean, when I say what I'm doing, don't listen to me. It is my thing, right? I know where I'm at with sales and where I'm when I need to file.
But you're also missing the opportunity with not having the business established to build those credits that I'm talking about. So you spent all this money on animals, you spent all of this money on whatever. Even if you build your own ranch, you pay for the wood to do it, So that's just my suggestion to anybody. Establish the business. It's not long, especially I can tell you in Maryland, it's easy as crap. It's easy in Maryland. You can do one step to register your business and trademark your business all at the same time. And then you're kind of lined up for, everything that you're spending from that point is a tax credit, whether you can take the breaks now or if you can take the breaks later. At the end of the day, the IRS gets enough money from us, especially for those who are still working full-time jobs. We need to be able to get as many breaks as we can legally.
So for me, in that aspect, it's lining up. What year do I do it? If I do it this coming year, 2023, I miss out, right? If I do it in 2024, that might be better for me from a tax perspective, since I'll be growing and can write more off.
But how much money have you spent approximately
this year?
In 2022. Let's just do 2020. Let's do 2020 to 2022.
$5,000.
Include animals?
Yeah. Just
okay, that's not too bad. I mean,
yeah. So I'm still small.
$5,000 that you actually can get tax breaks on, but that's not too bad. See, for
me,
so if
I'm at the point.
The animals, I spent over $100,000 in the last 2 years.
So had I gone balls to the wall and invested in the nuts of each animal and rack system, definitely I would have filed and done it already. But I'm still small, 20 some odd snakes. So I can grow. I'm not going to hit the threshold in Pennsylvania for sales, and where I need more licenses to trigger anything. So I think in 2024 is when I'll do it. I feel like at that point I have to, given the snakes I'm going to be making.
And you're making money, when you actually, because that's the thing. That's why IRS don't care about you not filing taxes to get deductions. What they care about is you not filing your income.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna hit that where like I have to. Like PayPal's gonna out me, right? I'm gonna hit a double visual or something, and it's like, okay, you sold X amount on.
Right.
So given that you are just coming into breeding for your first season, what's the best advice that you've received so far?
So much. I would tell you the piece of advice that I wish I had first, right?
Okay.
I wish someone had said to buy all your females first, like all of them. Because for me, it's like I bought some of the females, but I bought like a lot of the powerhouse males first too, which I'm not, honestly, because the way I'm at right now today, the time is still kind of equal up to like the pet females I had. They were already here, right? Never intended on breeding them at first, but they're here. So they actually line up to those males that I did actually purchase. But for someone who was going in to make money right away, then that's one of the advice that I wish I had gotten earlier. But since then, the best advice is exactly what I did, being prepared. I didn't want to be in a situation where I started breeding animals and then, got an
I need
ovulation.
an incubator or
Do
something.
I have the money for a incubator? Because at the end of the day, I don't care who you are. You have to be smart with how you, especially now, how you spending your cash. And I'm not a big person on using credit. Like I'll use credit if I can pay it off in full, whatever that amount is, in 30 days. That's just me. My daddy was like that. My husband is like that. He's not really big on borrowing money. He's really big on saving and then spending, which is one of the best things he ever taught me, because I was more of the I could die tomorrow, babe. I want to spend it now. So he taught me a lot about being strategic. My husband is very smart when it comes to money, and I can be honest that I was great at making money. I make good money. I made good money. Even in our position now, we got money. But as far as making sure that you keep it for the long haul, that's my husband. It ain't Nicole. Nicole will go out here and buy whatever she wants. It's him.
I mean, with respect to what you're doing in ball pythons and retics, I mean, you're probably in there for the long haul. I've seen what you snapping up.
Oh, now that I am, trust me. So I'm not going to be one of those breeders that you see and then gone now. First of all, keeping in mind, I was in ball python since 1992. I could have been got into breeding if I wanted to. It was something that I wanted to be 110% sure that I wanted to do. And so once I started buying those animals, it's what I see the future for myself is just insanely inspiring to myself. And I don't even, if you guys notice, like on Instagram and stuff like that, I don't show all of the animals I have. Like you guys probably see them more because, we got a little,
we in that group. Like yeah.
That. Yeah. But I said going in, and that was one of the advice that I got, if you got the money to buy those powerhouse animals up front, do it. And that's one of the best advice I ever got, because when I look at what people get excited about, and I always, I make jokes with Ozzy sometimes when he produced things, and I'll say, oh, I got that in my rack, and he didn't start off that way with it in his rack. So it's definitely, I know that I'm ahead of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's so many ways you can go about this. Mm-hmm. You can go in.
It's all depending on what you want to do, though, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
For me, I want to make money, right? But I didn't need it in 2020. I didn't need it. I had it set up where I don't ever have to sell a ball python, and our mortgage will be covered. All the vehicles outside, we pay for them in cash. We did things differently. Again, thank God to my husband, because when I think about like how life has changed and how inflation is in place, I am so happy that I don't have to buy anything. You know what I mean? I'm glad I have
Yeah.
it all because I actually got a big discount buying it 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the other week when I was talking to Rashad, he's like, "This is a hobby. Like we are covered," and that resonated with me. Like he has his life, everything, expenses, whatever, taken care of. The snakes are his hobby, and he's got.
For me, the snakes will not always be a hobby. It is a business for me now. So and just to keep in mind, again, I retired on August 10th, and when I say I make money that people would not realize because I don't talk about it much.
Right.
I did not leave my job to just say I want to be 100% housewife and put all the burden on my husband. I'm not her. It's not in my character. It's not how I was raised. But I did want to focus 100% on the business and the animals that I'm going to need to build the future that I want. Do I want to be a multi-millionaire from ball pythons? No. But what I do want is to be able to live a very comfortable life, like I did when I worked, pretty much, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you want these snakes to pay for themselves and pay for the future in that venture.
Exactly. I stopped looking at it just a hobby. Now my retakes are a hobby, you know what I mean? But the anything that's in that room over there is not a part of my hobby. It's a part of my business.
Okay. So this leads into my next question. And we're only at question 5, so this might go on forever. Who knows? So what?
It's in USR.
What? We ain't on USR yet. So what can we do as a hobby industry to advocate for ourselves as reptile owners? So, like, how do we present ourselves to the community?
Yeah, I mean, you see it. So I'll give you an example. First of all, we have to take accountability, right? So when I post and what I put out there with my animals, I like for people to see and be able to share positivity in what we do. There's enough people who already think we crazy weirdos, there's enough people who think we're junkies on Quaaludes and everything else. That's what they think about reptile people, at the end of the day. They think that we're a whole bunch of potheads and everything like that who don't have actual lives and we just sit in rooms with reptiles. So my goal is, and that's why I started my podcast. I wanted people to see what all the different faces look like. Because I used to get that all the time when I told people what I did. They would go, "You don't look like somebody who will keep reptiles." I'm like, what the hell that person look like then? You know what I mean? Like, what does it look like? So when I'm sitting here in all these other chairs and you got all these different people, nurses, doctors, pilots, and all of that who are reptile breeders, we need to display the positivity in the hobby. So I will say that one of the things that we have to do immediately, if you guys did not watch the live that Earl from LSR did the other day, please, and I swear that one needs to be shared out because first of all, Earl as a man can say words that my husband wouldn't like for me to present in public. And Earl said it, okay? As you know, I still got to have the tongue of a woman. And that's something that we've worked on because this tongue can get very sharp and it's been sharp for many, many years. My husband humbled my tongue. So he teaches me how to not go so hard sometimes, but Earl went hard in the way that it should have been. And keeping in mind that, so we talk about us doing this as a hobby and us doing this as breeders and us making this as a business. What's going to destroy us is the buttholes who do this for views and likes, who are people who don't keep animals really. They just have them because they want to establish a YouTube channel and get views and get a little check from YouTube. We're on a different level. So when they destroy us, they destroy our businesses that we took very seriously, our hobbies that we took very seriously. Or in my case, I can't imagine my life without these animals in my home. Like I was laughing the other day, looking at a picture when we moved in here in 2014. How the house looked different at that time. I'm like, wow, look how much the house changed since then. And it's all because of the reptiles. We've changed colors of the walls since then. We've added more space in certain areas. We get bathrooms to accommodate different species and stuff like that, as far as cleaning and things. And so it's like it's so different. Like, and that's the investment that we put in. I'm not about to give that up for somebody who want to show a corn snake eating a mouse, you know, and how people don't understand how that impacts us. And I'm going to explain how it impacts us. It was a post last night on Instagram. I cannot remember. I didn't care.
Nicole about to go off. We're going to put her on solo. Let's go.
I'm sorry. I don't care who the I didn't care to remember the name of the person who posted it. But it was a video of a baby reticulated python biting this person with a caption basically saying something to the effect of, why do I always have to get bit? If your snakes are always biting you, they don't like you. Number one, it's not a flex getting bit by your snake. What you should be posting is figuring out how this shouldn't happen again. Or if you're going to show that bite, show and educate why that happened. Now, if you want to share that with your friends and things like that, absolutely, or other reptile people, because we get it. We know that any day a snake can bite. Whether mine is biting me today or tomorrow, whether yours are biting you today or tomorrow, you know as a reptile person that anytime you come in contact with a snake, it's a possibility, just like it's a possibility with a dog. But it's so frustrating for me, and for me to be a 49-year-old woman in this who understand what it was like in the late 80s, trying to keep some of these animals that I have now. My boas would not be there today if it wasn't for the fact that people were fighting for us, to support us, to keep these animals. So what we can do is what y'all see me do. Everything I post on Instagram about these animals is positive. Everything that I post when it comes to the reticulated pythons or the boas or the bigger snakes or the berms or whatever is positive. My animals really though are positive. And I'm going to tell you why. Because as a keeper, I love on them. I love on them. They are part of this house. It's not like coming out and, oh God, I'm going to be with these humans. It's like, here's mommy. I'm going out with mommy. I get to sit on the sofa. I get to go out in the back. Mommy gonna put me in the swimming pool. Mommy gonna, whatever, you know. In the brain of a snake, it may not be mommy, but whatever it is, that human is someone I can coexist with. If your snakes are biting you, now, I'll give you an example. The reason why I believe, and I say this all the time, ball pythons, is a bigger chance for me to get bit by a ball python than any other of my snakes, is because those snakes in that other room in the rack, I don't get to handle them like I do these. But I will tell you that I only had 2 snakes ever in that ball python rack, and Bomb know who they are, that were ever spicy snakes. But they calmed down too. Because at some point, what I do is let them know, even if I'm not going to be handling you every day, you're going to understand, dude, that this is what we do. So I'll sit there and I'm going to let you sit right here in my hand for 15 minutes until you realize that I'm not afraid of you, and that all that's going to happen is I'm going to take you out and put you back in. And that's what's going to happen every single time. I'm taking you out for a purpose. I got to do things for you. And then you go back in and you're safe. For this community and everybody in it who don't check people, like who the person who posted last night, I inbox Dre. You like that shit? Did you really like that shit? We have every Monday morning conversation. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry.
You good, Nicole.
Right?
I love it.
Those are the people that's going to destroy the hobby. Those are the people. Chandler ain't losing his snakes. He's already permitted to keep his snakes in Florida, venomous snakes in Florida. But little Nicole, little Kent, and little everybody else is going to be in a situation where they can't breed any longer because you can't sell them any longer. You can't ship them any longer. So if it's anything that I'm passionate about and anything that makes me angry, and if you ever want to see me actually say something to somebody on Instagram, it's going to be that shit. You can do that somewhere else, because here in the reptile community, we need to be telling people that ain't prepping. Your nuts didn't get any bigger, dude, because you got bit by a retic, that little baby retic. Come over here and get bit by one of these. But your nuts is not going to get any bigger because you got bit by a retic, and we need more people to say that to them. All right, there you go, Ken. I'm sorry.
All right. So we're calling out the, how do I put it bluntly?
The sensationalists, you know,
yeah,
people,
people
and on that thread, look at how many non-reptile people on that thread. Like, one guy had to actually say to him, dude, calm down. That snake is not venomous. If you want to really see how these snakes are really kept, you can follow me. You're not going to see me get bit every day.
Seriously, here's one that was just reading yesterday. Look at how crazy it is. Yeah, I mean, now I can take out the boa that I'm working with. At the
I
same
don't care
point.
what the snake is. Like, even if the people who handle venomous, like, I love people who handle venomous and show the answer. I love Mark Reptiles. I say this all the time.
Mark does it right, though.
shows how, first of all, he has an array of venomous. And
He
he
does it
handles
right.
them all, not free handling necessarily, because he ain't stupid. He knows which ones he can and which ones he can't. Just like I know which retic I can do this with and that. You know, we know, right? So I am not gonna post something, right? No one ever saw the time that I tell the story of the baby retic when my son was holding it and it bit my finger on New Year's because I hit him in his face. Even though clearly, if there was a video of that, you would see exactly what happened, and you would see that the snake was like, "Oh, damn, it's you." Okay, never mind. It didn't keep striking. It didn't keep biting. It didn't bite me again the next day. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
with that being said, we have a responsibility to these animals to not stress them out either. A snake biting is a stressed out animal. You decide to go grab a camera, record this a little longer. The snake is already stressed out. I have no respect for anybody who do that.
Yeah.
And I don't care who it is. I will tell them to their face. You are destroying the hobby that I need in my life. For you, it's for some views and stuff like that. No, I'm good off of social media. If you shut social media down, I'm still Nicole Tisdale. I don't need it to make me be no bigger. But you want to go up there and post the type of stuff, it destroys the rest of my soul. I will say that Earl said it better than anybody can actually say it, I think, because he gets to say all the curse words and stuff that my husband not going to let me say consistently.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. So, I mean, this is kind of why I had Nicole on here, because she's so passionate about this. And we can talk about handling and reptile keeping and how we promote ourselves in the community. So I'm going to skip the USR question because we all know we need to support USR. And if you're not, screw you. You will have no friends, whatever. So with that being said, what can we as a community do to promote ourselves? Like, how do we, handle larger reptiles in the marketplace? How do we handle venomous? Like, how do we promote ourselves in a light where we're responsible?
Just that. Like, first of all, work with your animals, right? Before you decide to do a video. It was a long time before you guys even saw me with my water monitor inside my house. And there was a reason for that. Again, the people in the chat would know. My water monitor was 110% confident when it was just me around in his house. So you saw a lot of the beginning videos was just me and him in his house. It was a reason for that. When he came inside the house, it spooked him if my husband or my son or anybody else came in. I'm not going to stress him out. I'm going to wait however long it takes until I can see that he can be inside the house and act the same way that he acts inside his house. So, for example, when I put him on hair down at one time. Y'all see how chill he was? He wouldn't have done, like, he'd have heard your voice a year and a half ago on hair down and freaked out. I'm not into freaking out my animals just to show them off. I'm not into that. That's not good for the animals. It's not good for the hobby. It's not good for people we're trying to encourage to love these animals. Because in order for this hobby to live forever, we have to create generations of people who don't fear snakes by any means necessary. Or it's going to be 20 years from now. I remember when we used to.
Oh, I meant to click that and then do the shout out for you for tomorrow night. Yo, it's going to be lit.
Me and MJ, that stage going to blow up.
Oh, it's going to be nuts. And I will tune in after I'm done with John and Inquiline. I'm sorry I got double booked before, MJ scheduled that with you. But I will definitely tune in. I will tap into that crap. So that's awesome that you are going to be on there with him tomorrow night, 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then the other thing people should pay attention to, even if you don't comment, is what people say. Like, you ever heard of, like, I don't believe in putting people around you, and birds of a feather flock together. So if you really, really, really care about the hobby and what we do and things like that. Those people who are on that whole other spectrum that than you are on, I'm not saying leave them there, but if you can't get them inching towards where you are for the love and for the sake and for the sustainability of the hobby, then disassociate yourselves with those people. I have in this entire time only disassociated myself with one person. One person. I can deal with people who don't agree. I can deal with that. I can deal with people who semi-agrees. What I can't deal with is complete asinine people. And it's sad because it was actually somebody who I used to follow when I first started deciding to get into the YouTube stuff. So I only cut off one person. And when I say cut off, when I say I cut you off, I don't entertain you. You can be right there next to me. My family would tell you this. We can be at the funeral, right next to me. And I will act like you don't exist. But I give you all the warnings first. I'm a true Gemini. He's the warnings. I will try to help you see the bigger picture. But if that's the shithole you want to stay in, then stay in it. I don't swim in shit. You know, it's just not what I do. So you're not going to destroy this for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. I mean, I know everybody got annoyed with me. When the Lazy Act stuff was going on for the past however long, I was a guy, with Jeremy Turgeon and a couple other people just every day, just putting that out there.
I mean,
support
those people they vested into this. Jeremy has all kinds of animals. He's vested into this hobby. Yes, he has a whole lot of other talents, but at the end of the day, he created animals that he never thought he could create. To be able to. When I think about like people like him, so they put in so much into this, so much. The Jeremys of the world, you know what I mean? It's frustrating, and he's a kind person. I can tell you, Jeremy is one of the kindest people ever, but. Sometimes you see Jeremy doing a live on Facebook and he's cursing, and it's about this. It's like, stop it. Like, come on. You don't have no other talents. Right? We all running podcasts. We all got YouTube too. You don't see us doing that stupid, silly stuff. Like I said, it's not a flex.
He played the trumpet, but he also made a valid point with one of his reels where he looked outside his house in North Carolina and said, "Where are the effing tegus?" They weren't there.
And a good point to that, my husband will tell you our plan was to, because that's where most of my family that I'll say that I just adore the most, my older siblings, my aunts, my father's entire side of the family is in North Carolina. My father is buried in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in Evergreen Cemetery. Our goal was to move 2 years ago to North Carolina. I had the opportunity with my company, could have kept the same pay and everything. It would have been a come up for me, a come up. We would have been living on a hall, but they banned tegus, and that's what I mean. That's how passionate I am about that. I gave up that opportunity of life for my animals. I don't know about y'all. I know I would die for mine. Y'all, the people on my personal Facebook page, me being at the range and Target and all of that stuff. That's about my animals. You won't walk up in here like you woke up in Tom Crutchfield's. You will catch a hot one real fast for my animals. So I think that it's so important for people. Again, people don't understand because that's not something that I'm posting on social media. I'm not passionate about it because I gave up an opportunity for my family and myself to have a financial come up because I could not take my animals to a state. That's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like that in Pennsylvania right now. I mean, we can have, like we've discussed, you name it, we probably can have it.
Yeah.
If it's not endangered, or coming from Australia, legally can own it here in Pennsylvania. Something I'm mixed on. I mean, this is where we could have some disagreements and difficulties on. I don't think me or you should be able to own an alligator unless we do the research and have the husbandry.
So we can take care of that. I think people should be able to have whatever they want to have. with responsibility. Like, I honestly feel that if USR can work out with the United States government so people can just leave us alone, and they say for each animal you have in Nicole, you have to pay $50 to register it, right? For each, or let's say each species of animal you have to pay $50 to register it. I have to come in your house to make sure that it's properly enclosed. And then you also have to purchase a United States insurance for it. You know, whatever they want to do. That's what I mean. That's how much my animals mean to me. We do that for our dogs. You know,
Right.
We
I got insurance for breeds. You know, that makes sense.
Right. If you say you got 8 retics and you have to have this insurance, I'm willing to pay that. But just leave me alone. If you tell the venomous person you got to pay this because you for this insurance because you got venomous, just leave him alone once he does that. Now, should you be able to inspect? Yes. I mean, it's the same thing I feel about pit bulls, though. I grew up in a family of pit bulls. My mother right now got 3 of those beautiful pit bulls that she's with all the time. They're on her porch every day. You go over there, they're watching. They're the sweetest things. Now, are they protective? Yes. But as a responsible owner, I would know when to expose my animals to another human and when I don't. No different than I do now. Like, my Rottweiler is not going to be able to, I don't let him in a room with my retics, for example. And it's not because of the Rottweiler. My Rottweiler is smart, but what I do know is that if a retic buck at him, my Rottweiler is going to take it out of here. Or the retic, because I have some very large ones, the ones that the 3 that y'all see the most, they look smaller on camera than they actually are in person. I promise you. They could, if they position themselves the right way, could take my Rottweiler out of here. And as a responsible owner, I am not that.
They're not going to cohabitate at any
right,
point.
Yeah, I'm not trying to force that right now. I don't knock the people who have. There are some people who raise them together. So if you took the younger retic and they raised with that little puppy dog, that's what you see. That's possible. It's like if you see my Rottweiler and my Yorkie Poo together. My Yorkie Poo is the aggressive one to my Rottweiler. My Rottweiler be like, please just leave me alone. One day he walking around, the Yorkie Poo is on his neck, and the Rottweiler just walking like, somebody please get him off my neck. So they can actually coexist without harming each other if you raise them together. But I know that my animals were not raised together. My Rottweilers was here before these retics. And I know that if one of them bucked, and I'm sure that the Motley Golden Child son, the black one, Sunfire, she will be the one. And I know that my dog is going to react to that.
So, I didn't ask you this in the questions that I sent you. So, what's your feeling on like having animals cohabitate or like coexist for like TikTok views or something like that, where it's like, oh, I can put a bearded dragon on my dog's head and it's cute.
So some people really can do that. See, again, I'm not into regulating people's household. What I'm into is that if you see that interaction is spicy or dangerous, it shouldn't happen. So if you got a cat who can literally wrestle with a Rottweiler, good for you. That's amazing. I'm not into regulating what people do. What I am to regulate is the perception of evil that the general public who don't understand see. Like I honestly still to this day will say there are certain animals who can cohabitate. To breed boas, they are cohabitating for a very long time without harming each other. So I do believe there are some animals who can cohabitate. I just don't think that I want to risk that. The same thing with retics. You guys see it. There are some people who don't let their retics, their male retics, play with each other. My male retics have no problem with each other, the ones that was grown up together. Now, there's a whole nother room of retics over here. If y'all notice, you never see the golden child cow and the Motley golden child Sunfire, which is the all black one, together. It's the reason for that. They were not raised together. That's a whole nother set that I purchased, and I did that very strategically. All of my retics were purchased together, and they was raised up in their different cycles of size. I don't mix them together because what I've learned is that the ones that can kind of like go in and outside of each other's enclosure is because they're familiar with each other. I'm not going to chance that with the golden child cow being out. Now, she can go in that room. She goes up to the enclosure. She looks like she's trying to say something to him and all of that. But I'm not going to chance having those, which I call my mid-grade retics, my retics who are middle age, not adult. I'll say they're sub-adults. And then the babies are never with the adults. It's because you watch the behaviors of the animals when they're surfing. When my golden child goes in there and she's surfing those other enclosures, it's different from when she's surfing the enclosures right here. So it's just like understanding that and paying attention. Time, putting time in with your animals and understand. But I believe there's certain animals that probably could cohabitate that we just assumed they wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like keep them all separate unless you can breed them. But you bring up a good point with the higher level snakes like your retics, right? Where you can read them, like ball pythons. Not to knock them, they have beautiful colors. There's 500 some odd different morphs or whatever, and then you extrapolate that out. But I mean, they're not big brained animals. I mean, they're gonna chill for the most part unless they're hungry and strike at you.
But you know what? I even challenge people on that. My favorite ball python is my spider ball. If you ever see Busy out, Busy acts like a retic. I think it all depends on how that animal is now. The ones that we have in the rack stay in the rack, so they don't get a lot of human interaction. But someone who has a pet ball python, they definitely get a different response and a different personality out of that.
I agree with that. But going for your your bigger animals, your boas, your retics, your like you have to. You can tell. You can read them.
Oh yeah, you can read them.
I pull out this tub. This ball python ain't gonna do nothing. I open this. This boa is going to react to me. Probably unfavorably until I take it out and deal with them. So, for me, it's like knowing that. Like, I'm never gonna sell him to anybody. He can go to somebody that will know that he is feisty most of the time. You get him out, he's
but
gonna be
you
fine.
can get that out of him.
And you put him back in, he's going to strike at the glass.
That's just keep handling him.
And
so one of the beauties of the big snakes is they have big brains. And the only thing that you need to do is if you know that you got a boa that's like that, you handle him more than any other animal.
And that's what we do here. Yeah. We're doing the, Kevin McCurley, swivel, that thing. And it has worked. I mean, I went from being able to grab him, getting struck at, and pulling him out and doing that to being able to grab him, do that, and then he hates my life, the second I put him back and let him do his thing. And I even took the tree out. What was interesting was I took the tree out. So he's been under the hide like 99% of the time. I put the tree back in. He's no longer climbing the tree. And, having that defensive position. So that I thought that was interesting.
I don't know. Put his tree back.
Yeah, his tree's back in there. I mean, he's not no longer up on that.
Yeah, keep it in there. And at the end of the day, a boa who is defensive is only defensive because it's not comfortable.
Right.
And then we have to determine why is it not comfortable. Younger boas are just going to be just like, I'm sure your younger ball pythons, like when y'all having brand new python ball. One of the things I love about ball pythons coming out the egg is how some of them are a little feisty. I think that's cute as I don't know what, but with bigger snakes, it's not as cute. Like my retics come out the egg will get handled immediately and start to turn it off immediately, right? But a ball python coming out the egg is defensive. A boa is no different. The only thing is that we're more intimidated because of how a boa strikes or how a retic strikes,
For me, I've been
put our hands in front of a
more by his boa than any other animal. But, we're working on it because, I didn't hatch him. So he was already defensive. So it's getting him. Now he's 3 foot. So it's, we're dealing with it. Like, I'm here, you're here, we're going to be friends. With the ball pythons, the bite isn't as bad. But, I have hatchlings that I can pull out right now. And they don't bite. But I would want them to bite me. Why? Why do you ask? Because they're biting at me. They're hungry and they're going to eat. I'm still assist feeding 2 of them. So that's my
they're biting because they're younger and they're defensive. I do believe that, because you know this, right? Like that only has it's not that they're younger and because they bite in that they're going to eat. What it is that they're younger and they're more spicy. So anything that you put in front of them, they're going to bite, including food. So we got to find the balance because no snake. And like I said, every time a snake has to strike, it's stressful. Unless it's food. I'm sure they're happy when they strike it at food.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, you name it, in this house, I've been bit by it. Aside from maybe like clownfish or like the,
And see, when people say that, like, I think that I haven't. Like, I have bit in 31 plus years, only been bit once. Now I'm smart too. Like, for instance, like I choose a green tree python, which is the only snake in here that really punks me. Okay, but it's because he's a matter of fact. Like he's a lot better. Let me stop before he get me. He's a lot better, but the younger DMX was a very matter of fact. You open up this cage, you're getting bit. So step back. So I will step back. You know what I mean? Two more steps back because now I'm a little longer and I can lunge all the way out there to you. So I will use a hook for him. Y'all have seen me use a hook for a green tree python and never seen me use a hook for a retic. Part of it too is that retic is smarter than that green tree python. So I love to
come out for birds and got big teeth.
That too. But this little Negro, he don't care. He knows it's a bird. He know my big ass ain't a bird. He just knows that he can intimidate me, and he just had his moments. But he's a lot better now. He comes out now without striking once. He don't strike anymore. Nice. So that's a lot better. I'm still not 100% comfortable. Like Socrates' little girl about 6-7 years old, and her little green cheek and her emeralds be sitting on her nose and stuff like that. And I don't think y'all ever see me in a green tree like that.
I mean, I have some things that definitely we've worked with and I can handle. But me getting bit by the savannah, a year and a half ago, I was holding it up. Now it was 2 foot and is clamping on me, and that stunk. And I screwed up there. I was feeding it. I was trying to be coy and whatever. I'm feeding a mealworm. Videotape it, and it just on my thumb. That's the last time I've been bit by anything other than a fear bluff from ball python or a snake. That's tough, and I learned my lesson there to respect these animals. And even bearded dragons have teeth, right? They got. And
you know what? The reality of it is that it's harder to tame up, in my opinion, lizards than it is anything. I'm fortunate that my water monitor came from Nerd, so he came out the box. If you watch that video that I did, he came out the box already socialized. Only job I had to do was keep him that way, not to do anything that spook him. Ergo, when I talk about moving him from one place to the next, just paying attention to what does spook him, and not triggering that, so I honestly think that people who can tame down lizards, it's more of an effort because lizards are very smart, and they have that senses. Their senses are on point. They can hear
especially monitors.
You can walk there. Yeah,
like monitors. They look. I say like little velociraptors, but I mean they're like unfeathered birds. I mean, they are the closest relationship between dinosaurs, birds, whatever. They are smart as hell, and they're gonna figure you out.
Yeah, I think my tegus were and I can't say the hardest to make them comfortable because they came from Jesse's jungle. You could hold them and stuff like that, but once you started going into their enclosures and stuff like that, they used to run or they would take the defense, and then once you would get them out, they'll be fine. It took a little longer to get them used to the human interaction, I think, in my opinion, than any snakes that I had.
Yeah, I mean, I was when I was at Oaks, hoping that you would be there a couple months ago. I actually interacted with a big ass tegu, and we were gonna buy him, right? I was gonna trade bearded dragons to my buddy for this tegu, and what turned me off is I had him supported, and then he freaked out. He didn't bite me or he scratched my arm up. That was fine, but the fact that I could support him, and he freaked out. I was like, you know what? If I get a tegu, I'm going to get it as a hatchling and grow it up. I'm not going to, deal with that. Because this thing freaked out while it was supported and being, his owner was there.
And they know when you're not their owner. That's another thing I think when people ask me, what do I think is the difference between my animals? I get my animals at a young age and they grow up with me. So pretty much we grow up together. They know, what to do and how I'm going to move. And also they always placed in places where I'm always going to be. I don't put my big snakes in a room that I don't frequent in or that I'm not in a lot. I like for them, especially retics as a baby, if you want to earn their trust, put them in an enclosure where they can see you. In a room that you spend most of your time, or a room that your people are constantly coming through. That is the easiest way to get them socialized, is through them seeing. They're observing everything that's around them as babies, everything. So they're literally, if you ever want to look at a baby retic, their eyes are just literally going like this, like they're following you.
We'll give you credit for that one. But yeah, I mean, like, as much as I've talked about it, like, I want a big snake. I think right now the boa is the big snake for me. Because even though I have the enclosure that can fit a berm or a super dwarf retic, the amount of work that I have to do to make that thing, I can't just neglect it for a couple weeks and feed it and pull it out like, my ball pythons.
Yeah, but you can't do that with a baby boa either. So I honestly feel like it was easier for me to socialize the retics than it was boas. I think that boas get it a little later than a baby retic does. A baby retic, if you get it, and let's say if it's 4 months or less when you get it, 4 months old or less when you get it, after handling it for about 3 times a week for the first month, you and that snake already built a bond. With boas, it might take, like you said, like it takes a little longer. Keikos was the only boa that I ever got as a baby who was a little, like, very defensive. And the way that I tamed him down was literally just picking him up every day to let him know that you're going to strike, you're going to hiss, you're going to, try to bite me, but I'm still going to pick you up. And then one day I went in there and he stopped, but it took longer with him than it did with any retic to build that trust.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's because they're live bearing animals. We always hear of spicy boas. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, only one of my boas ever was spicy, and that was the very first one.
Now I will say that with working with this guy, it's not as awful as it was. A year ago or whatever. He started eating. He's gotten bigger, so his damage is a little more.
I believe breeders make a difference too. Like, I honestly think, and I can see the difference. Like, all of my retics who I got from Jim Jolly were great retics from out the box. Every other retic, my other 3 one is from Samson, one is from Nerd, and one is from Matthew Oakley. Although they were great coming out the box, I did have to use hooks to turn off their feeding response. And I mean, you grow them out of that, like I don't now, but it definitely depends on who the breeder is as well. How much does that breeder handle that snake before they come to you? It makes a difference too. Yep.
I mean, I feel like it does that with like any animal, right? So if I'm breeding bearded dragons and I'm selling you one, and I've never really handled it aside from to move it, to clean it, and whatever, it might be nippy. And if I'm selling those animals, I should be honest about that they're not socialized. If I sell you my ball pythons right now, I'll sell you your champagne. It's not going to bite you. It's never bitten me in the 6 months or so it's been alive. If it bites you, then that's news to me. So I mean, I feel like we should be honest about how we bring up our animals. If they're nippy, if they're bitey, let people know.
Agreed.
But yeah, we made it almost an hour and 10 minutes, and we didn't really get into the nitty gritty of this ball python thing that we're here to talk about, or what most people are here to listen to, as well as hearing what you have to say about husbandry and big animal care and like, ah,
Honestly, we kind of talked about that. Like, it's pretty much, how you interact with them once you get them. I can tell you that my main things that I say about the big snakes, to anyone, if you don't have time, don't get them. And a lot of us don't. Like, a lot of us don't have time. I was fortunate, again, that even when I worked, I had control of my own schedule, and how I worked, how much time I worked from home, and how much, when I got out on the road or whatever, things like that. And I also believe that if you don't have space, because I do believe that you can cause, larger snakes can have mental conditions by being improperly kept in small enclosures, and you have to be willing to grow with them. So you got to be considerate of the fact that even though your snake is 14, 15 feet today, and you are accommodating that today, what are you going to do when they're 20 feet? All retics don't get 20 feet, but I can have
some
two that I
do.
can tell you right now clearly is going to surpass 20 feet because they already surpassed the older retics in length. May not be in width yet, but they already surpassed them in length. And that's the Motley Tiger and the Lavender Sun Tiger. Those two definitely are going to be more longer than 20 feet.
So Nicole, those are both mainlands, right?
Well, all of mine are mainlands. All my
Okay.
retics except for one. I have one dwarf. And the thing is that that's another misconception. People think that the mainlands are harder to handle. Dwarfs are harder to socialize because they're less confident because they're much smaller as babies, where the mainlands are bigger babies. So they're a little bit more confident and they grow much faster too. So their confidence comes really quick.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, like I want like a super dwarf. I have the enclosure. I just got to swap out desert lighting for like heating, and I can do that fine. But again, it's that working with an animal that it's cute. It's going to get, depending on what the genetics are, could get quite big. And for me being alone here, if it gets large, 12 plus foot, where it could do damage to me, I'm not comfortable. I'm comfortable
Yeah,
handling the animal, but not comfortable doing it alone. If that makes sense.
so what I would say, even with that, so I think that I will share that there's a whole lot of myths that I killed when it comes to the reticulated pythons. Right now, today, I used to always say you all, and I believe that you need the two people. I'm going to say now, if you raise them as younger animals and you raise them up and condition them to do the things that you want them to do or to understand what your cues mean, you can handle them. Like, so I can pick up any of these animals now because I don't have to pick them up. So that's the key. So now I have them conditioned so I just can open the door and they come out. When they get tired and they want to go back in, I just literally
Open the door.
let them go back, open the door, and they'll go back in. So I do think that, and also I had no concerns. One of the biggest ones that I had, and I mean, some of the, like I said, the elite breeders said, be careful when, don't touch the retic when they're in breeding mode. So what I do is I test a lot of the theories, right? Now, if I'm testing a theory, my son is always here. So it's always going to be another person. So I have debunked that theory too, including my female. I can touch any of them. And you guys, that's why I posted that video. So look, when you go back to what you're talking about, what we can do for the hobby. If my retic, my breeding male came out striking and trying to hurt himself, that video would have never made to Instagram, right? But he did. He came out. He clearly is arching. He's still arching today, and I can still touch them. So I wanted people to see that because so many people get to hear that. And we forget that when a lot of the long-term people started with retics, they were starting with F1. They were starting with animals straight out of the wild. So a lot of those characteristics have been breeded out of those snakes. Or you have a really super good breeder like Jim Jolly that regardless of how many snakes he has, he makes sure he spends time with all of his babies. And I think that you have to deal with your animals as individuals just like you deal with your children. You don't know which one of them might grow up to be a serial killer. All you can do is do all the right things to hope that it doesn't become a serial killer. And if you do all of those things, chances are you won't have a child who's a serial killer. That's it. And I've learned that with the retics. I'm 110% comfortable with all of them. And I think that's what literally, when it comes to my husband, even what made him change his mind about them and started touching them and things like that is because he sees it. He's like, these things ain't nothing like what we thought they were going to be, and so therefore for him, they're big, beautiful animals, and he finds them more intriguing because they're really puppies. I mean, they're really sweet animals, and they love your attention. Where other snakes want to run away from your attention, retics love it. They love your attention.
So, Nicole, you have boas, right? Let me put myself on so you can see them. Are you constantly doing this with your boas?
No.
So
I don't have to with my boas. Boas typically, when they come out, they rap and they just there. Now the retics,
they're just chilling.
When they're younger, you should be doing that a lot because they constantly are moving. Now once they get older, again, they understand your cues. Like if I do my arm like this, that retic understands that I want him to come across my chest. If I drop my arm, he knows to go on my lap. If I put my leg out, he'll wrap around my leg. Those are the things that you have to do to make it easier for the both of you, because they're heavy snakes. Retics are heavy. That's the thing. They're heavy. And that's the problem. If, when people say you really want to have two people, if it did want to do something to you, like literally you're not getting that thing off. It's a heavy snake. But I will say that even down to, if you guys see people say don't put your hands directly in a retic's face, I can do this to my retics and they find it fun. I have one retic, when I do this, he'll stick his little tongue right through my middle and just kind of like stick his tongue out there. It's like, these are things that we did when they were smaller. So now that they're big snakes, their brains work even better. It's not like it's nothing that I'm doing that's special. I believe if anybody did this with their retics that they raised up, they would have those same relationships.
I mean, Nicole, John is saying what we all think. I mean, you are really one with these animals.
Though. I think that it's literally me listening to like people that I saw who had great relationships with their retics, like Marquindra. Marquindra and her retics was just amazing to me. I was like, oh my God. And so I listened to everything she said that she did. Randy, everything Randy did. I just listened to it and it worked. So I believe that the method is that if you just handle them when they're young, train them up to understand what you want them to do, to cue in different body languages and things like that. And they'll train you too. They'll tell you this body language means this and this means that. Then you just kind of build that relationship on that, and it becomes a special relationship.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's respect, right?
Yep.
I respect my dog. I respect all these animals that are here, except for maybe the dubia, because they can't. It's
mutual respect for sure.
But everyone can do some damage if they want to, whether it hurts me or not. I mean, It's their fight or flight. So, I sort of want to tangent into this last little bit for the next 13 or so minutes, since I'm a ball python breeder. You're getting into ball python, so I want to sort of cover a little bit on that since we've been talking about other things this entire time. So, Nicole, what is your favorite incomplete dominant gene?
Spider all day, and it's going to always be Spider. No one is going to snatch me away from Spider. I'm hoping and praying my first clutch that lands is going to be bumblebees. I love Spider, and Inchy.
Okay, well, Mike will say Inchy everything if he's still in the chat. If you don't mind, I have Spider. I have a bumblebee spark right here that I'm breeding to a ivory, yellow belly, everything. Shout out to Terrence if he's still here. Yeah, I mean, Spider does so much, and he gets a bad rap, and it's the only one in that complex that gets a bad rap. This is gonna be my little rant.
Yep. Well, my Spider, I mean, has no issues at all. I have a VPI Xantic bumblebee from right, a VPI Xantic bumblebee that I got from Aussie, who has no wobble or anything. It's a beautiful snake. For me, Spider goes back to when I first got into retics. When I got into ball pythons. Spider was always one of my favorite genes. ever since it existed. Yes, and Jeremy has some beautiful spider combos over there. Like I was intrigued by his. I'm not going to let anyone down me for loving it, and because I always said if I ever became a ball python breeder, I won't overproduce it, but I wanted my first clutch to be, or one of my first clutches to be, ancestral to my spider ball. My favorite ball python in this house is not the ball python that costs all this crazy money. It's not those. It's my spider ball python.
Yeah, I mean, I love spider. I also have a lot of champagne. And like my thing with that is, spider, champagne, Wilma, hidden gene, Wilma, all the wobble genes. Everybody like knocks on, but then you switch it over. You got spot nose, blackhead, sable. That sort of aspect.
I love blackhead too,
That's
but
been
my spider
laid through
is
spot
my
nose,
heart.
and they're fine. They're fine to do the supers, and they're on that side. It's the only ones you can do supers on. You can't do super spider, can't do super anything of the original spider complex. So for me, genetically, that's just interesting.
Yeah.
Spot nose links them, can make supers, can't. Yeah. So, sorry, Nicole. I have to. We got Venom in here, and he's insulting. All right. So we covered, your incomplete codom spider. All right.
My favorite recessive.
Oh, you read my mind. Yes. Favorite recessive that you have and will get in the future.
Clown. I have a lot of clown. A lot of clown. And I have one, two, at least 3 combos that has Archimel, which is definitely a favorite of mine's. That's always been Archimel. Actually, one of the jokes is, and this is if Sick Witted Balls, if y'all ever see me and him in the chat, when I first started getting into ball python breeding, I reached out to him and Reggie. I wanted black pastel from Reggie, and I wanted Archimel from Sick Witted, and he just sold all of this particular clutch that he just had.
You still have it labeled?
It's still labeled. Now, let me tell you the story. He finally creates this clutch. It's all males. So I'm like, well, just send me a male. Send me a male. So I bought one of the males. As soon as the weather is good enough, he'll ship the male. And I'm still waiting on my female from him. So I just think that even in my, when I'm looking at other Archimel combos, Archimel is just so pretty to me. And I think that just I think also it's so many different things that I can put with Archimel that I think is actually going to produce some amazing animals.
Well, it wouldn't be alive if I didn't bring one out. And it's a joke that on Hair Down Fridays that this was a snake I'd always bring out. It's Ultramel Pinstripe. But it also works well with bamboo. And I want to get into DG and, some clout. What everybody else is doing.
I think I want to see Archimel with blackhead.
Yeah. Ultramel Odium. Ooh.
So I have, that's one of my plans because I have I have an Odium banana super. I have an super OD banana Odium het pied, yellow belly het pied. That I plan on putting. I have a cinnamon het, 66% het Archimel, 66% het hypo, 66 or 100% het pied, and 50% het clown that I'm going to put with Archimel as well because I want to print the Archimel out in her.
So I know we're going out of things, but speaking of the possible hats, what are your thoughts on genetic testing all of them? See if they're 100%.
For me, I hate that it exists. I'm going to be honest. I hate that it exists. I think that when I was one of the things that I'm intrigued by getting into breeding is the possibilities. I don't want to know. It's kind of like I don't like when people do those gender reveal things. I can't stand it. What happened when we just pushed it out and the doctor said it's a boy, it's a girl? That's how I feel. So I don't think that I would ever do genetic testing, honestly. First of all, again, it's hobby/business. The hobbyists in me want to hold on to that element of surprise, right?
Right.
I get though that somebody might want to test the het for additional money. I get that. But I don't think I'm going to be that person unless the customer wants that done. My goal is going to be to forego genetic testing. Is to anything that I have that is hats to
You gotta
have.
prove
I
it
have
out.
enough visual to try to prove them out. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I hate it. I hope it goes away. Sorry to anybody who's
I'm
making
on
money
both
on
sides.
it. I
Like,
hope it goes away.
if I produce something that's like a, visual 100% head, something pos head, everything else, I want to make sure, if that thing is pos head, everything else, that's a banger animal compared to, a visual 100% nothing.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
for me, I don't care because even when I buy an animal that's had something, I'm still buying it for that visual for me, right? The head
everything
is
else is a bonus.
normally the additional, like, okay, if it's had this and I had these other genetics that possibly I can put with to prove out the hats, that's what it's going to always be for me. I think we're taking that element of surprise away from the hobby for me, is part of what I love about the hobby is the surprise.
Right, like me reading what I did last year and popping out this freaking thing, right?
Yeah. Or like who
I
was it,
mean,
Ray? With the combo that Ray just had. You know
right,
what I mean?
and
Like
popping out something that's like,
right.
whoo, that was there?
And to be able to produce it with, mostly all the visuals that he, expected. I mean, that's what I want to do. I think that makes breeding so much more fun.
Yeah.
Just like it makes having a baby more fun to me.
Oh, I would never know what that's like because male. Jeremy's got to go. But yeah, Nicole.
I'll see you in a few, Jeremy.
And I know I annoyed the crap out of everybody with my first clutch, but was super exciting. And I'm still like they're still here. It's still super exciting.
No, you calm down. It was at first. You calmed down a lot.
I'm still bugging these two didn't eat yet.
But no, I'm not knocking you. You heard me what I say. I get it. I cannot wait. Wait.
When you have your first clutch, I expect there to be banners, noisemakers. Like it's gonna be an event. So that being said, we're coming up onto 8:00, and of course, I got my Pennsylvania fam that we have to go check out afterwards.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, where do you see yourself within 5 years? Breeding reptiles, keeping reptiles, advocating for reptiles.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna start with where I see myself and what a goal that I have in mind that I'm working on day by day, little by little. So the first part is, as far as the reptile business, I definitely will be producing some killer animals. I suspect that my year 2023 is going to be great, but 2024 is going to be kick ass, and from there. And I'm gonna say this now, like there's not many females in the game that's gonna be hitting it like I'm hitting it, period. I mean, I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to, I'm trying to be humble about it, but I mean, I just got fire. And I came in and I spent the money to get it. So my 2024 is going to definitely change some things for me and the business. It's gonna be a good growth spurt there. I see my pace kind of like a Miguel's, to be honest, to be perfectly honest. Now, what I would love to do even more and bigger than breeding is I want a seat somewhere in the White House or somewhere nationally where there's a representative for reptiles. That there's a representative for reptile keeping, someone who can help close that gap between the community and the government.
Nicole for Congress. Whenever there's a seat up.
As a free seat, just to be that person to be able to show somebody when they say, well, this snake is going to kill you, or like I said again the other day, I used my Instagram for opportunity to debunk all of the false theories out there. So you guys saw me in my Burns enclosure. You see the usual suspects see me inside of my retic enclosures. I do that stuff to show people that even if I lay in here with the snake, it's not going to eat me. Like it can't, it won't.
Lay next to it, it's sizing you up. Nope.
Yes, and one of the things that I want to show, but I don't show feeding, is like when I showed my son, for example, the other day. If you take a 10 to 12 pound rabbit and give it to a snake who just can't eat it, it won't even try. It will lay on it and everything. Wish they could figure it out and just give up. Like it becomes a pet for them in the enclosure. So to think that animals will eat humans. So I want to be somebody in the government that will work with the government, a national seat, for reptile owners in the government that helps them to lobby and bridge that gap between the two, between the crazy stories out there, the crazy thinking of people in legislation, and be able to be that person to show them matter of factly with the animals that I keep.
Well, Nicole, you got my vote for reptile czar, or Congress if you choose
And
to run
that's
in
another thing.
Pennsylvania.
I have reached out to Vanessa for USR. I sent her a message, and I'm saying because down to one of the things I want to touch on. I said this on Levi and Chris show the other day. A lot of millennials are in this hobby, so we can tell them become members.
As a millennial,
of USR.
I have to go like that.
Yeah.
Continue.
We tell them to become a member of USR. And I remember, you a little bit more mature though, right? We have people, if they do not get their t-shirts, won't renew. Right. But how long did that take? So I reached out to Vanessa.
I almost had to renew again.
Right. So I reached out to Vanessa and say, hey, if there's an issue with someone, getting the t-shirts out, I'm home. I'm willing to help. Ship me some boxes so I can make sure these people get their shirts in 30 days or 60 days, whatever we're going to say and put on their website to do. So that's another thing. I think that I want to continue to tap in to building that relationship with USR, because I think that I can be so much more helpful to them than the people that they already have in place. I could definitely support them on another level. So that's another thing I would like to do.
I mean, I feel like giving Nicole 90 minutes, it doesn't do her justice. It doesn't do her platform justice. Like, we could go on to the wee hours of when Dallas is.
It's good. It's good.
But, at the same time, my show is at dinner time, and, we got to, wrap it up. So, Nicole, to wrap this up, where can people find you on social media, and what are the next shows you're going to be at? Where can people find you in real life too?
So it's hard for me to make the Pennsylvania shows because my podcasts are normally on that day, and I typically just find it more comfortable. Like even when I'm traveling, I have to do my podcast from another place. I hate it. I like to be right here. But so my next show will definitely be Tinley. In March. Mm-hmm. But I think that Tinley, Daytona, and Tinley are going to be the only shows that I go to be honest. I don't have a desire to do more than that. I might do Animal Con, to be honest. And that's just for a whole nother reason, because it gives me that platform to do what we just talked about and educate people.
Yeah, I can see you going to Animal Con.
Yeah, so I see that in the future. But as far as podcasts, tomorrow night I will be on MJ's, which I'm very excited about that, honestly, tomorrow. And I think that, that's another platform that we share a lot of the same ideology as well. And I definitely, everybody who can tap into that, because I'm telling you that's going to be heat. Just the energy alone. It's MJ and it's me, Lord Jesus.
I'm boring. I mean, if you thought this was exciting tomorrow night.
No, I think you're not boring. I told you. It's important. Stop saying that. None of us are the same. So you're going to have your energy and I'm going to have mine. Be authentic. That's what you do. Be who you are. And if you chill, you chill. But I watch your shows and I learn stuff from it. I'll tell you one that I just love. The one that you went through all of the spider complex stuff with. Like that was a really, really, really good show. So, I think you're very analytical and I love that. And I say that's one reason why I think Ray is super dope. I'm not analytical. Like I don't want to be
Ray that document. I should do that when we get off of here. He's been bugging me.
Yeah, but yeah. So be you, do you. Everybody have a different platform. My show won't be MJ's. MJ's won't be Hair Down or Keys. Just do you. Be your authentic self, and the following is going to come. I do think that you need to change this time slot because I think that it becomes hard when they kind of overlap into anything, and
Yeah.
hard for the people who want to view both shows or support
Both
both
shows
shows.
live, yeah, and I get that. And I think in the new year we are going to move to 4 p.m. on Saturday. Don't quote me on the exact time or when the switch.
It might be even good like we'll talk about it, but yeah, just think about like the perfect timing for that, because my show is at 1. I'm normally done by 2:30, no later than 3. It's a really
that
good guest.
afternoon is so open. It's not funny until like night, so I can do like an hour there. Yeah, it'd be good. So Nicole, anything you want to say to the chat? Any last words before we sign off?
No, I just want to just continue to, just continue what we're doing. Continue to be positive. Continue to utilize your platforms for the good. And if you really do care about these animals, you will censor yourself, and you would help change the perspective to others who are not displaying in a good image. I think that's important. Like, if we're not checking people who are doing certain things, and we are actually following them, and we're not saying anything, we're a problem as well. We just might as well be doing the same thing.
Yeah, we gotta police ourselves from time to time.
Yep.
That makes sense. All right, all right. So I thank Nicole for coming on here. It's been awesome having you on, and I was super excited, like I told you, to actually have you on here to just absorb, what you're doing. It's been awesome. Check me out next weekend. I got Chris from BNS Reptilia on. That should be a fun show. We'll have a bunch of animals, hopefully, that he's showing. And be sure, check me out tomorrow night. I'll be on with John from Inquiline at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check out Nicole tomorrow night, 9 p.m., I believe.
And
correct?
8 a.m. tomorrow, 2 P's in the podcast. That's with me and Dre from DW Exotics.
Yep. So she's got her show with Dre in the morning, and then check her out tomorrow night with MJ, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Yep, 9 p.m. Eastern
Time.
All right. It's gonna be dope, y'all.
I mean, if you've seen what Key's done, what Amelia done, Nicole gonna.
I'm gonna share my story, my dog bite story in detail for the first time publicly with MJ, and he's gonna share a story that no one's ever heard either, so it's going to be pretty cool. Right.
Looking forward to it. We are about 14 minutes away from kickoff for the Dallas Cowboys. Throw up the X. So before I go, I have to, show Morbid one of his snakes. So this is one he's getting. And I don't have the mouse.
Is it eating? That you said it was?
Oh, this is the baby, the small baby. The one that didn't absorb? Yeah. It's how big she is now. The champagne pastel. Possible het pied, possible het laugh. But at the same time, it's not. Because, champagne can throw a pied looking the same, so it is what it is. But, he's got another one here. It's a pastel possible het pied. So, all right. Gotcha. So I still have one champagne left. Thank you for coming on. Let's kick it, and you're wild if you're not hanging out in Jeremy with Ron after this.
Cool. All right, guys. See everybody tomorrow.